Tonight on the program, one of the aspirants is a former banker who is a son of a veteran educationist who rose at a young age through the ranks to becoming the group managing director and chief executive officer in 1984. Also led the FSB International Bank PSC, which was re-engineered. After serving FSB for about 15 years, he left his position as chairman and CEO in 2004 to establish a company, the Alpine Group, headquartered in Lagos. Alhaji Hayatudeen is in the course of his career being chairman director of over 30 multinationals and local corporates, and was a member of the Council of the Nigerian Stock Exchange and the African Business Roundtable. He recently joined politics and moved into the PDP. Mr. Muhammad Hayatudeen is my guest tonight on the program, and he's here with us in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Hayatudeen, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, let's. I know it's an issue that is being spoken about intensely in the past days, especially when the outcome of the IBB committee and the Professor Ango Abdullahi report came out on the voting. We understand that you had about 6 or 7 votes. Senator Bukola Saraki had 10 votes, tied with Senator Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State. But let's know your stand. What is your own stand as far as that consensus arrangement is concerned?
So first and foremost, let's take President Babangida completely out of this. He's one of the most celebrated and iconic figures in this country. He has very, very little to do with what has actually happened, as far as I know. Second, I joined the group of 3 very late, about 3 weeks after they met in Bauchi. And the reason why I joined was simply to bring about harmony and unity within the country at large and also in the north. We gave it every effort of our skill, our good faith, and our commitment to see if it could work. 2 Wednesdays ago, after spending almost a month, we came to the conclusion that this thing was going nowhere. And the 4 of us decided here in Abuja to jettison the notion of choosing a consensus candidate amongst ourselves. And Senator Bukola Saraki was then requested to draft a press statement which was to be considered and adopted later that night at 10 p.m. Bukola was not able to come up with that statement. The next thing we heard was that a committee had actually met after the fact of our own decision to jettison the project, that 2 people had been chosen. So those are the facts of the matter. And I believe that Governor Tambol, before I even issued my press release, had issued his own press release. I concur completely with what he said, because that was factually and truthfully what had happened. So you cannot, after the fact of the candidates themselves having decided not to continue forth with the project, come out after the fact and announce a decision.
I'm trying to see how we can capture quickly, because there are a lot of issues that I want us to, away from the politicking
Sure.
and all of that, I want us to deal with the real issues, because that's what Nigerians are concerned with. The price of food, the security and issue of solutions to those problems. I'm more concerned about those issues. I'd like you to summarize what really happened there. Do you think it was transparent, the outcome? I'm not talking about the process, but the outcome that delivered Saraki and Bala Mohammed.
So I don't know who Professor Ango met. I don't know what criteria they adopted. We were never called into any meeting to meet the quote-unquote committee of elders. And an announcement was just made before us. That's factually what happened.
So one can say, from your own standpoint and that of Governor Tambuwa, the process was not transparent.
It was opaque and not transparent.
You think you were played out?
I wouldn't say that. As honorable people, you don't use those kind of adjectives. But all I know is that it wasn't a fair, equitable, and justifiable process.
Have you been able to speak to President Babangida afterwards?
I haven't.
Have you moved on from that process?
Everybody moved on from the night that we met. that the thing had collapsed and that everybody was now free to actually prosecute his own campaign to a logical conclusion. However, we all agreed that given the kind of fraternity that had more or less been developed amongst the four people, that from time to time we should be involved in consultations, and somewhere down the line we may still come together either before or on the floor of the convention, because only one person in the whole of Nigeria within PDP can emerge as a presidential candidate.
Did you regret going around? I mean, it was a painstaking effort. It was, you had a very tight schedule. Did you regret being part of that process that eventually did not work out?
That's an excellent question. It's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, remember that I'm the baby of the house. I joined the party.
Maybe not in terms of age, but in terms of your time of coming into politics.
Absolutely.
You're an outsider, a newcomer.
I'm a brand newcomer, and therefore I was launching my own campaign, making a lot of progress, developed tremendous momentum, and my momentum was broken. So in that sense, it wasn't the nicest thing for it to happen. On the other hand, I've accumulated a lot of experience, become wiser, become better, and known the three of them.
So next week, Wednesday, the party will hold a NEC meeting to ratify or to discuss the Governor Autumn Zoning Committee report. What are your expectations of that meeting?
I'm not so much concerned about the meeting as what should be right. The right thing to do is that we're actually operating an open democratic system of government. Every Nigerian, under our laws and our constitution, has the right to actually vie for any office. Every Nigerian is free to canvass for votes and delegates around the length and breadth of this country. And therefore, people should have the absolute freedom to go for any office they want, so long as they can build alliances and partnerships all around this country to compete in a free and open space.
So quickly, let me get your view on this idea of rotation and zoning. And if you look at it, the progression is since 1999, because if we go too far back, that may be a long conversation. But let's look at 20 years ago, 1999 today, and see the progression of how the rotation has gone and how we've, journeyed through the times. Where do you think fairly the next president should come from in terms of equity and justice?
The best man who possesses the best credentials should be elected president of this country, because we live in extraordinary times, and extraordinary times and conditions demand extraordinary leaders. It doesn't matter whether the shade is either blue, green, white, or black. For me, I think we've developed as a country thus far, and we've gone past the stage after 1998 and 1999. That's almost a generation. I think this country should actually come together to focus on those issues that are far more important to the welfare and prosperity of the Nigerian people. So I think order of merit.
Other than where anybody comes from?
Absolutely.
But would that satisfy the concept of equity and fairness?
It will.
Have you heard what people from the Southeast extraction are talking about?
I heard
and
them.
Even people from the North Central?
I heard them loud and clear.
You don't think it's justified?
It's not justified at all as far as I'm concerned.
Why?
Why? Because maybe the lessons of history has prejudiced people's minds. It doesn't matter if Mohammed Hayatudeen is voted into office and he's not fair-minded, he's not a man of character, he's of no use to his own people, that is the Borno people or the northern Nigerian people or to southern Nigerians. What we have seen time without number is that if you ever make the mistake of actually going for leaders who do not meet the acid test of leadership, you cannot expect a different set of results, even if it's from your own village or your hometown. That's my fundamental belief.
So as far as Muhammad Hayatudeen is concerned, forget rotation, forget zoning.
Yes.
Just go for the man who can get the job done.
Absolutely.
And let's talk about whether or not you have those qualities that ticks the box on as this job demands, the job of the number one citizen in the land. First and foremost, you're an outsider. You've been a private sector person all your life. You've been in business, you've been in banking for several years. But as an outsider, there are a lot of prejudice that you don't have, people like yourself don't have the requisite experience in politics to be able to meander through the very murky waters of politics.
Okay, so again, if you go back, Sean, you go back in history around the world, Warren Harding, who was elected to U.S. presidency in 1920, was a publisher. Herbert Hoover, 1928, was a mining magnate. Harry Truman was in mining and oil. The two Bushes were both businessmen before they went into politics. Donald Trump, more recently, has never contested for any elective office. Hariri, if you recall, the Prime Minister of Lebanon, who turned that country around, was a billionaire businessman. In other words, leadership and management principles are universal.
Not minding whether it's a public or private sector.
Absolutely. You know, you just adapt those skills to the demands of a particular profession and assemble an excellent team of men and women who have diversified skill sets to be able to deliver on the mandate that is required.
For those who have been hearing about Muhammad Hayatudeen and tonight, they listening or watching you tonight,
yeah.
What do you think that you imagine that you possess that makes you stand out as a candidate that would be best fit for the presidency of Nigeria?
Okay, so the thing is, again, we take lessons from history. At any particular moment, countries go through various moments of opportunities and challenges. If you recall, France needed Charles de Gaulle. England needed Winston Churchill to avoid being defeated in the war. General Yakubu Gowon was required to prosecute the civil war, and being a very good Christian, was quickly able to stabilize our entire polity and bring all of the Southeasterners back into the mainstream of society through his policies of reconciliation, rehabilitation, and reconstruction. So through those kind of policies, Nigeria was quickly able to come together. At a great moment of crisis, when this country was also at a tipping point, Murtala Mohammed, in 6 short months, was able to restore a lot of confidence into our society and bridge our divide. What do I bring to the table? First and foremost, the country today is at a unique moment of crisis that is actually unprecedented in the annals of our history. Number one, I have the skills required and the experience base to turn around this economy. 2, I've been a change manager all my life. I've dealt with some of the most difficult and complex problems and have been recognized clearly as a transformational leader. What Nigeria needs today, more than anything else, is to actually completely re-engineer this economy, put it on a path of, rehabilitation, development, and growth. And I have those skills in ample measure to be able to do it as a turnaround manager.
I will surely, in the next few minutes, take you to one of your strength areas, which is the economy, which you've said that you will turn around the economy of Nigeria, and Nigerians will want to know how you're going to go about it, because if you look at the total debt burden of public debt burden of Nigeria is almost 40 trillion. And let me, before then, go into the area of security. You are from the Northeast, you're from Borno State. Security is a major issue in this country today. Would you say you understand what a problem of insurgency or extremism is in Nigeria, because not only in the northeast are we experiencing it, we're also seeing a similar thing happening in the northwest region of the country, where the federal government came out recently to say the attack on the train was a collaboration between the bandits and Boko Haram elements. If you understand what the problem of extremism or this terrorism is, what then is the solution?
Well, the thing is that this has been long in coming. And again, I would like to say that the root cause of it is the major economic problems that we face. This economy has been growing at an abysmally low rate. Population has been exploding from about 103 million 20-something years ago to 210 million today. And when you look at security today, it is multifaceted. I think people tend to look at security purely from the point of view of military weapons and using the armed forces and the police to quell problems. Security today is very broadly defined, and you need to integrate all of these phases. Food security, energy security, economic security, political security, environmental security, all of these things come together. And therefore, when you're dealing with the issue of security, none of these things can actually stand as islands in and of themselves. You need to treat them holistically and integrate them in order to find those solutions. In the short term, what we need to do is to push back insurgency by making sure we rearm the armed forces, we reorientate them to make sure that they're actually in a very, very good position to understand the nature of this particular kind of warfare, to deploy a lot of intelligence assets, to motivate them, raise their pay package, retrain them and equip them. Those are the things that are actually needed.
Would you require mercenaries in the immediate term to deal with this banditry in the northwest?
You actually don't need any mercenary, because I've been telling this administration for a very long period of time, privately of course, that what we needed to do was to do something similar to what we did in Vision 2010, to declare a national state of emergency on security and bring every shade of opinion under one roof for a period of 3, 6, 9 months from every single stakeholder in this country. Because security is a community issue and is not just an issue that is within the domain of members of the armed forces or our political leaders or the technocrats. So you need to bring in the youth, labor, media, traditional rulers, academics who are specialized in security, international security experts, put them under one roof actually to clearly understand the nature and the dimensions of this problem. And beyond that, to then diagnose it properly and come up with a range of prescriptive solutions. And then have your change agents go out throughout the length and breadth of this country in order to do what is required to bring this issue under arrest. But even as you do so, the economic issue is very, very important.
Yeah, I'm going to come to that, but we need to take a breather. We'll be getting some of the closing thoughts of Mr. Muhammad Hayatudeen when we return from the break on the issue of the economy and the way forward for Nigeria. Don't forget also, that will be joining me, Mr. Kola Abiola, son of late MKO Abiola. 30 years after a truncated mandate, his first son comes back to the same, rekindling that dream and wants to be Nigeria's president. We'll talk to him tonight on his ambition and prospects. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Let's get back to the conversation with my guest, Mr. Muhammad Hayatudeen, who, interestingly, from Borno State in northeast Nigeria, and a famous Nigerian banker. Now, it's interesting that you're from northeast. I mean, you can talk about the issue of security, and also you have an experience in economic, and of course, you've told us what needs to be done as far as security is concerned. But in the economy, and a lot of youth who, some of them are at home because of ASU strike. Some of them, they are not even sure that when they graduate from school, they will get a job. Some of them are graduated long time, but there are no jobs. First and foremost is the inflation issue. 15.1% or so, that's what it stands. If you become president, you hope to take it to a single digit. Is that right?
Absolutely.
And how can you achieve that?
So the thing to do is that, first of all, you have to get your macroeconomic policy framework right, both in terms of monetary policy and fiscal policy. The two of them are Siamese twins. If they are not managed in a harmonious manner, certain things are actually going to go completely out of step. So on the monetary side, inflation is nothing but a metric for measuring price. There are other prices like exchange rates, interest rates, etc., etc. On the fiscal side, you deal with debt, you deal with taxes, you deal with revenues, and a host of other metrics. So in order to bring about macroeconomic stability, you need to craft a very clear set of policies that are designed to bring all of these things into balance.
Where do you think we're getting it wrong?
We're getting it wrong because I think you do not have, first of all, I think vision is important. I'm not sure that we are actually anchored in the right kind of vision. Number two, I believe that you require economic managers of competence and distinction who actually understand both the theory and the application of economics. You require excellent financial engineers, and amongst them, you require collaboration. Where there is no collaboration, everybody is going off at a tangent. What you do is that the bottom is going to fall out of you.
And perhaps where we anchor tonight is on the issue of unemployment and how we can create jobs. Now, unemployment rate from 2015, we stood at about just slightly over 8%, is now way over 30%. How much of jobs can you create in Nigeria to reduce this very alarming figure of unemployment rate?
So I would say in about 3 years, the unemployment rate should be reduced to about 10 to 15%.
How do you do that?
Within 3 years. What you do is that you actually open up the economy. First of all, confidence is very, very important. You need to create confidence in the ability of entrepreneurs and investors, both within the country and outside the country, to actually create national output and grow it. I would like to see, on my own watch, within a period of 4 to 5 years, move the GDP growth rate from about 3% to about 10%. And within 7 years, move it to 15% sustained over a period of 10 or 15 years.
All right.
Other countries have done it. Nigeria can do it. And therefore, when there is output expansion, you now create a lot of opportunities for people to get productively engaged.
You've shared some very insightful thoughts tonight. Should you not get the opportunity of becoming Nigeria's next president, would you work with anyone to inject some of these your ideas?
I would work with a whole host of people. Wherever I have worked, I've actually believed in the power of people, because a tree can never ever make a forest. And I'll hire anybody who is somebody who, by order of merit, can do a particular set of jobs. I will hire them wherever they come from.
All right.
And I'm going to lean on the diaspora as well. And talking about national security as a last point, I've had a personal experience because my sister was actually kidnapped in 2014 in the peace and quiet of her home and taken to Zambezi forest and could not get to escape until 2016. So I live with that problem every day, and so does my family. I understand it. I know it. Right. I get it.
Mr. Muhammad Hayatudeen, thank you so much, and I wish you the very best in your pursuit of becoming Nigeria's next president.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you. And say hello to Kola.
All right, we're here. He's just listening to me across the satellite now.